we always are just super grateful that you choose to join us every week on our live. So, welcome. This week we're talking about the competitor that you might not expect, as we kind of went on last week. We kind of hinted at after we recapped that uh, people are having a greater affinity for the smaller creator in lieu of bigger brands. And so we talked about that last week. So if you missed that and you're interested in that, you can go back and find that on Amanda's LinkedIn page or our YouTube channel. But this week we kind of hinted that you still have a hidden competitor. So Amanda, do you want to tell us what that hidden competitor is?
I'm dying to. Yes. Your biggest competitor, which is also a hidden competitor as a creator, is inaction. Literally, people making the decision to do nothing instead of literally anything, like take up your lead magnet, open your emails, much less like buy your products and services and then consume what they've purchased, right? So, inaction is your biggest enemy in your creator business, I think.
Yeah. So what do you think what do you think are practical steps that people can take to kind of combat inaction in their audience, or I guess you could say consumers even?
Yeah, that's a great question. And this is a hard problem. And it is kind of like an umbrella situation that you have to tackle. It permeates every area of your business and how you think about product design, product and service design. And so, so all products and services should solve problems. And that could be helping someone make more money, like by getting a new job or asking for a raise or starting a side hustle or anything like that. It could help save people time. It could help people keep what they have, leveraging loss aversion there. Make people's lives better in some ways, solve a problem for them. Like that's absolute table stakes, has to exist for a successful product or service. But there are varying degrees of problems that we all have and experience in life. And there are annoyances, little bitty things like that, all the way through. This major problem I'm having is impacting every single day of my life. It is making me miserable. I feel like I'm throwing money away, I'm losing something, whatever the case may be. We have got to be feeling quite a lot of pain and a sense of urgency as well to be motivated to solve a problem, to actually like pay money, and not just the money. Oftentimes it's like, how much time is it going to take me? How much effort do I have to put in order to get the benefit from your solution? So, starting with painful, pervasive problems when you're creating products and services that you're going to package up in a course or membership community, mastermind, small group coaching program, paid newsletter, whatever the case may be, the gut check before you begin is this actually a painful, pervasive problem? And you can test that, right, with social media content. We were talking about that in on a creator school action workshop this morning, and we were talking about, was it newsletter topics and membership content, and I was like, don't work in the dark where you just like put hours and hours and hours or hundreds of hours into a product and then ship it and say, look what I made, everybody buy it, kind of a situation. But if you have a hypothesis, like here's what I think is a painful, pervasive problem that I am uniquely positioned to solve for my loyal community of followers, start dripping out some content on social media, in your newsletter. Ask people, run a poll, right? Don't work in the dark and then blitz everybody with this big announcement, because it's going to really suck if they don't actually give a shit, right? That's going to be, one of your hardest moments as a creator. So don't work in the dark, test in public, and like truly go through an exercise of defining the unique things the unique, pervasive, painful problems that you are uniquely positioned to solve based on your knowledge and expertise and the people who are following you. So what's the bridge between you and them?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So if somebody is running a business and they maybe are like, I've never even considered this
Mhm.
idea of like inaction, what are metrics or what are things that they should be checking on in their business to see are are they suffering from this inaction competitor?
That's a really good question. So in the metrics world, you could put a dividing line between metrics. And we were talking about this in our Q3 planning meeting, leading indicators and lagging indicators. So churn in a membership and sales, like those are both actually lagging indicators, where engagement metrics would be leading indicators. So social media engagement, shares, likes, follows, comments, all those kinds of things, all the way to they're signing up for your email list, they are opening your emails, they are clicking on links within your emails, they are downloading your lead magnets. If you have the ability to track someone's progression through their lead magnet, say it's like a mini course or something like that, you should be able to track like how far into the course they have gotten. Those are all leading indicators that would indicate if you are solving painful, pervasive problems, or people are like, I don't really need that. I'm not going to take the time to read your lead magnet that you worked 30 hours on and poured your heart and soul into because it has not, it may be important in my life, but we solve problems that are both painful and urgent. Like if you think about, a quadrant, if it's important but non-urgent, like that's not going to get dealt with yet, right? So you got to move to the upper right of that quadrant to both urgent and important and painful. I guess
Yeah.
that would be a matrix. We should make a matrix for this. That would be cute.
Yeah. Put on the things to do, the quarterly. Um, no. Okay. So what, like in your experience, where have you come across this in like maybe your personal business or in like client work without obviously giving client details, but like
Mhm.
just real life examples?
Yeah. So, a number of our clients in our consultancy, we are reworking their entire product ladders. One, not necessarily because they're not solving painful, pervasive problems, but they might not have like a really clear value proposition. And so you might be capturing 10% of the total market that you could be bringing into your paid newsletter or your paid membership simply because it's not as thoughtful as it could be. There's not a success path for that product or service where there is a clear from to transformation. You're taking me from this highly undesirable state of maybe lacking confidence and lacking clarity and lacking control to clarity, confidence, and control through whatever the mechanism is that your course, your membership, your community, your coaching, your consulting, whatever the case may be. And so having to rework product ladders is potentially a consequence of not thinking about this pervasive, painful problem framework ahead of time. And I mean, I've seen many examples of when I was a fractional executive kind of bouncing around to different SaaS, software as a service firms. The uptake on those products was just not what it could be or should be because either not solving that problem, or it could be you are solving maybe an amazing problem, but you're not communicating it effectively. And so that's another really, really important thing to look at. Like you may be having fewer people in your membership than you thought you might ought to who are having tremendous amounts of success. And you're like, I know I have something amazing here. Why aren't more people coming in, right? Like, why aren't more people coming in the door in the first place? So in that case, you want to use social proof, testimonials, and case studies, and then like wrap those back into your marketing and make sure that you are using the language of your customers in your marketing. So that's another thing. You might not have this like huge mismatch between the solution you're providing and the problem that you're solving, but it could be a communication issue. For your sake, I hope it's a communication issue, but I totally
Yeah.
forgot what question you asked me, but was that the answer to it?
Yeah, practical things that or ways that you've seen this like in like real life examples of that. So yeah, you definitely did answer. Um,
Ish.
that is interesting that you said what was it? You just said, oh, I had a thought and then I totally
Communication
read
problem or
or the creative writing that you're putting in front of people and using
mm,
testimonials and allowing that to
mhm.
alter your marketing language. That
Yes.
could be a whole exercise in itself of like, hey, sometimes what you initially start your business or your niche or your online presence at has to alter as you really refine your audience and like learn them and their pain points and how you're presenting what you are solving too.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I guess that.
That's
So
real quick a thought on that. That's really timely because we're heading into Q3 and our whole like theme for Q3 in Creator School is content, right? And how you can leverage your content to maximize it for marketing, to turn it into products and services. And so the messaging around your products and services, yes, we should definitely lead some exercises around that, like defining the problems, defining what voice of customer is. And like, even if you don't have testimonials or you don't have a large following, go and look through people in your ecosystem, even competitors, like the comments on their, social media threads, and see what people are saying. What language are they using? What trends are you seeing over and over again? Like, did someone use the same word over and over again? Like, that's Google keyword search is another helpful tool in this kind of like voice of customer research.
And I feel like we live in such a fortunate time where like your audience is probably posting how they feel somewhere on the internet. And it's just finding it, whether it's on Reddit, on Instagram, on Facebook, in different groups. Like, it's out there. It is going to take time to like find where it is exactly, especially if you're just starting. If you kind of already have like an audience a little, you probably know their pain points and all of that. But like, as you're getting started, if you are in that beginning stage, like, it's out there. Just put in the work to maybe list out those ecosystem partners that you want to be ecosystem partners with. Like, where's your audience at? And so, yeah, that's so interesting to think about, like altering your marketing. Yeah. So, are there any other, so other than inaction, because in my mind, inaction can be inaction on your audience's part, but also inaction on like your part too. So what do you think about that?
I mean, sure. I think not using voice of customer language could be that could an argument could be made for that to fall under the inaction category. Yeah, I mean, if you're not communicating effectively, if you're not putting out products and services that are high quality, then yeah, people aren't gonna buy your stuff if it's not good or it doesn't exist. Like, yes, inaction on your part can prevent as humans, we do often get in our own way a lot, right? So that's a great point. That's very true.
That was off script, so sorry. I just did that. I just had that thought. I was like, oh, we also do that too. Do
Yeah.
you have something like, because you're like the queen of systems and like operations, do you have a system that you go back to, like as you're kind of, especially as people are navigating the journey of like the inaction and making sure that people are going through their funnel successfully? Like, do you have a recurring questions that you ask yourself or things that you check in on where you make sure like, hey, this is successful, like the customer journey is working, or like what do you ask yourself?
Probably don't have time to cover all that today, but in
Yeah.
terms of like product development methodology, we do have a system for that here at Level Up, and I've been working on leveling that methodology and system up as I'm literally working through this with multiple clients right now. It has been a very, very interesting exercise of making a table of what are all of the problems that your audience has. Why do they have those problems? Ask yourself 5 whys, like, okay, why? So you're trying to get to like the middle layer of the onion of what the actual problem is. And then what is the solution that you could potentially provide to that? Like, what is the from to transformation? What's the value and outcomes? How would you package up those solutions? So it's kind of this like, it's a pretty linear progression. It requires thought and intention and time for sure. But it's like, here's the foundation. If you want to skip this step and start like throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks, like, have at it. We're not the people for you. If you want like the tried and true methodology that's going to give you the monster return on your investment that you deserve, if you're willing to put in that level of work, we would be the right people for you for sure. But yeah, so that is like big picture planning. And then on the whole, most questions, I would say like 90% in a creator business, or the ability to diagnose any problem in a creator business 90% of the time can be found in your bow tie funnel. And we're going to start talking about this a lot in our newsletter. And everybody knows like a traditional funnel looks like this. You have people that go into the top of the funnel. They follow you on social media. You get them on their email list. You nurture them with an email sequence and retargeting ads. And maybe they hear you on a podcast or something like that. And then they make their first purchase. And that's typically how we think about like, that's the end of the funnel, right? So in a bow tie funnel, it's actually, that's the left side. You like turn that pre-purchase funnel on the left, and then the right side is there's fewer people in the funnel at this point, but they're spending more and more money with you. So that's why the funnel widens on the end of the bow tie, because you are maximizing customer lifetime value by thoughtfully offering the next most logical product or service after the initial purchase, and you are earning recurring revenue through membership, community, paid newsletter, mastermind, small group coaching program, or something along those lines. And so any metric in your business, you can put it on, you can plot it out on that bow tie funnel. And we literally do this and take it very, very seriously. And our diagnostics are so freaking accurate. And like we can go in with surgical precision and be like, there's the problem, there's where we need to tweak. And we're doing that right now. And like in our Q3 planning exercise, this is where things are falling short. And this is where we need to go in and make adjustments. And this is how we're going to do it. This is who's going to do it. This is what resources they need. This is the budget they need. This is the definition of done. And it's just like that rinse and repeat over and over and over again, quarter after quarter. And it's like dedication to excellence and execution of a plan is what the most successful businesses in the world they do. That's the game plan. And that's why we are like bringing all these principles to individuals, right, in the creator economy, so you can make money off of your knowledge and following, right? That's the goal.
Yeah. Cool. That's so, yeah. I feel like we've talked a lot about Q3 planning. So I'm like, I wonder if next week we should hit Q3 planning. So if you want some more information on how to be successful with planning out your quarter, meet us here next week. Amanda, do you have any parting shot for us before we go?
I think that's I would love to do that. That would be fun. And we can kind of do a little bit of a retro on, we follow OKRs, objectives and key results. And so we can kind of talk about what those are. We're doing this in Creator School. Like we've had a multi-part action workshop the last couple of weeks to help explain the OKR framework and putting context and color and like flesh on what should your objectives and key results be like for you, your specific business. And so we're having these conversations and it is really leveling up all of these businesses who are participating in this planning cycle. It is really, really fun and exciting to see like the light bulbs go off in these business owners, some of whom are like veterans, like 15 years. I've been in this business for 15 years and I've never overlaid these systems, but now we want to scale and like move away from the day-to-day a little bit more. And it's like, this is the path to that. It's also the path to it if you're a solopreneur. So that's the cool thing. Like it works because this is how successful businesses operate, and it can be overlaid onto anything, like any business for sure.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, thank you so much for being here today with us. And thank you guys for joining us as we go through this. And don't forget to follow our newsletter if you are interested in all the topics that we cover in our lives. We will see you next week.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.